Hello. This session is about identifying your research problems and objectives, and this is some of the first steps in your market research process. So if you go into the Moodle subject, I guess you're already here since you're watching the video, and click on session 3 to 4. Then in here you will notice that we have what is called the research process. This can be illustrated either graphically, as here, or in sort of like a numbered point format. Seems to be a bit of looks a bit funny, but never mind that. Market research is a very complex subject, and it's important that we sort of do it as a like step-by-step process, because that makes it a lot easier to sort of get your head around. Now, defining the problem is step number 1. So first of all, we need to identify what it is that we want to focus our research on. Step number 2 is defining the research objectives, and that relates to the information that we need to collect as market researchers in order to fix the problem. And we'll talk about these two first steps in today's session. You can read everything about it in Moodle or in your booklet if you printed that out. And first of all, the problem. So let's have a look at that. You basically need to identify what problem it is that you want to solve. Now, all companies got problems. In market research, these problems need to somehow relate to your customers, ideally. It doesn't have to necessarily be problems. It could just be issues or uncertainties about customers, etc. So, first of all, identify the problems that you want to solve. It's very important that you write these up in a numbered point format. That'll make your research down the track a lot easier. So try and if you have already identified a business you want to conduct the research for, try and see if you can identify the problems that this business is facing. Like everything else in life, if you got clear goals, it'll be a lot easier to actually accomplish what you are setting out to. And your problems will be your goals, because that is what you'll try to solve through market research. Step number 2 is then to, there's a lot of information in here, there's a lot of things you can read and so like try and get your head around. But what I want to move on to is the research objectives. Now, when you have identified your problems, the problems are the problems you want to solve through market research. Step number 2 in the market research process is to identify what information you need to collect to solve these problems. So, you can write that up as what information is needed to solve the problems that you identified in step 1. Now, I strongly recommend that you do the case study that is listed in here. If you click on this link, you'll be taken to a case study about a restaurant called the Seville restaurant. This restaurant, it's running quite well, and but it does have a few issues, uncertainties. There's a number of things that management just doesn't know, and they are listed here below. Now, management, the restaurant is conducting a lot of advertising, for example. The problems are listed down this column. So management basically seems to be unsure about a number of issues. In particular, problem 1, is our advertising effective? So they do a lot of advertising, but they don't know if customers are coming because of the advertising or whether customers would have come even without it. They don't know what the major reasons for coming to the restaurant is. They don't know what customers think in regards to their menu choices, the quality of food, the prices, the service, etc. So there's a lot of things that management is uncertain about. Now, when you have identified all the problems, this particular case study, step number 2 is to translate them into what information will be needed in order to solve the problems that we identified. So, with problem number 4, what is customer satisfaction in regards to our menu choices? If we can determine the level of satisfaction among customers with the restaurant's menu choices, the quality of the food, the prices, the service, then we can, as market researchers, go back to management and tell them exactly what customers thinks of all of these. Down the track, we won't worry too much about that now, but down the track you'll be designing a survey. So on a survey you could, for example, then translate each of these research objectives into one or more questions. So when we want to collect information about the menu choices, you could ask a question like, on a scale from 1 to 7, how would you rank our menu choices? 1 being poor, 7 being excellent. So, but that's for later, so don't worry about that now. For now, only identify the problems that you gotta solve, and the problems that your business got, and then try and translate them into what information is needed to fix these problems. And that's really what this session is all about. So if you, I'll strongly urge you to do the case study here without really trying to look too much at the answers. When you have tried to identify the problems and the objectives yourself, I suggest you look at the recommended answers down here. Now, this is the way in the recommended answers are set up is a very good structure, and I suggest you sort of follow that structure as much as possible. So try and click on this link when you have done the case study yourself. Now, this is the recommended answers. Don't look too much at them, but just this structure is sort of like a very good structure to use for your own report. So we had a problem. Is our advertising effective? We translated that into a research objective. That is the information we need to collect to fix this problem. Determine the percentage of customers interviewed who can recall a specific promotion. If we collect that information, we can go back to management and tell them if their advertising is effective. And then underneath you would normally very briefly explain why that's an issue. So that's what you basically need to do. Alright, good luck.